Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Cafe Enchante in Ignis's route, and we'll probably get our happy ending in this part. I don't know, we'll find out, I guess. So yeah, anyway, we're Rindo right now, I think, yeah. Several days had passed since the band of Enchante regulars commenced our plans. The GPM headquarters, including all of its higher-ups, shuttled to and from meetings on how to deal with Dromi. And throughout it all, I was there, stuck in an interrogation room. This doesn't look like an interrogation room, it looks like an exam room, like a weird, freaky, like, scientific-y test subject room. In all truth, I was starting to become fed up with the roundabouts. With the runarounds. Wow. With the runarounds the kid kept giving me. The maestro himself, the chaotic prince responsible for this hellish vortex before me, was restrained with non-human bindings. He whistled nonchalantly to my chagrin. Early on, he ditched his small fry act and revealed his true impish self, dodging each question with a quip or a quack. And don't take it from me. Mikado also sat in on the interrogations, driving himself and his assistant mad as the latter grimaced from aside.
Good grief! I permitted you to use the wormhole as you please as a gesture of friendship, and you choose to betray me?
Pause. I just want to remember this. If Mikado betrays us in Rindo's route, I just want to throw this out there. And he's like,
How dare you betray me? That is my role.
I'm just kidding. I don't know, but we'll find out. Look, side characters. It probably could be the guy in the cloak, but I'm thinking he's more ill or miser. So anyway.
I don't need an x-ray to see you've got no heart. Isn't that right, Koo?
Betray you? Hardly. I think you're being a little harsh, don't you think, Doc? It's not the wormhole's fault. If you laid out those rules from the start, I would have followed them to the letter.
His ability to shift blame was impressive, but I sighed, realizing I had lost control of how many of Dromi's games I sat through. How are you so calm all the time? Is it a self-preservation thing, or do you really not care what happens to you?
What? But I haven't done anything to trouble the human world, have I? The Minotaurs came charging here to the human world of their own free will. I didn't tell them to jump into the wormholes. I just told them where the wormholes are, how to get into them, and that they would bring them. I mean, I told them all the information, but I didn't tell them to do it. As far as I'm concerned, I've done nothing. Aren't you wasting your time?
I clicked my tongue, betraying my position. Of course he was right. Dromi may have been the mastermind. He set things in motion, that much is true. But I couldn't pin any of those things on him and get a real charge in the human world. With this, even upper management realized he was a special case and we needed an alternative to squeeze the truth from him. The tragedy of Bestia was within the legal jurisdiction of Bestia alone. It was impossible to charge him for that.
But that doesn't mean we can't use him as a test subject and let Mikado do live experiments by, cutting him open and, doing weird shit to him, right? Because he's not a resident of the United States or Tokyo or Japan or, the human world, wherever. We don't live in the United States. We live in fucking Japan. Whatever. He is not a resident of Earth, so therefore we can... And unless you know of some kind of weird statute that says you can actually, do weird experiments on aliens, because that would be rude, that, normal human beings don't know about. I'm just saying, do weird experiments on them.
The lad was sly, but he knew this much.
Oh, by the way, about the wormholes, you know they happen to connect to your world? I had nothing to do with that, Kay. It's all one big coincidence, you see? So strangely, they all appeared out of nowhere, but thankfully I made good use of them.
Dear assistant, what do you think? Is he telling the truth?
His vitals seemed to indicate so.
Well, there you have it. Now, how about freeing me from these chains?
He lifted his arms, poised and pitiful. Denied. You have something up your sleeve. Can't help but wonder what else you're scheming apart from turning Ignis into Vinar, so I'm afraid I can't release you. But in the back of my mind, I knew time was almost out. Soon I'd have to relinquish custody of Dromi for lack of evidence. I decided it was time I loosened the tie to make the most of our time together. Dromi, what's in it for you? Why the blind devotion to Vinar? Why go through the effort of reviving him knowing he'll just devour you too?
What? That's... Well, it's obvious. Be an honor and a cool one to boot.
What? His answer took a moment to register. I thought I misheard him, but...
Even Mikado's like, the fuck?
Mikado and, much to my surprise, his assistant were both catatonic, so I knew I hadn't imagined the response he gave. Dromi, meanwhile, was unperturbed by our reactions and began to speak sternly. At first it was about Ignis. No, not Ignis. He clarified Vinar, and how his past led him to worship the heretic of doom.
You know what would be the best punishment for Dromi? Throw him into the wilds and let the little bunny and fox, the sweet, innocent little... stab him with tiny little fork! Ah! You know. Because then you die, but not at the hands of Vinar, at the hands of this poor, sweet, innocent little bunnies. They just nibble you to death. Anyway.
Now then, time for one of Dromi's history lessons. Or should I say, Vinar's history lessons. And since my life is nothing compared to the majestic tale of the world...
Oh, okay. I'm assuming this is supposed to be Dromi's speaking. I'm just going to read it normal. It's easier. Anyway, now then, time for one of Dromi's history lessons. Or should I say, Vinar's history lessons. Since my life is nothing compared to the majestic tale of the world devourer. But enough with the digressions. As I mentioned before, Tigress like me are also descendants of Vinar. Okay, we're just going to read it like Dromi because we're supposed to be Dromi. Never mind.
We were ordered to monitor the Venator, so we huddled up with them in an uncharted region. Fast forward to now, Vinar's just a memory. All my people remember is we got tangled up with the Venator and got crap for it. Anyway, this is my story. When I was a kid and my village was attacked, everyone I knew was dead or worse. It was the first time I saw anything like it. In other words, it was the first time I witnessed Bestia's cruel hierarchy at work. It was, well, it took me a while to get over the sight. Some things you never forget. Never. What is it now? A guy can only take so much.
I don't know who's saying that, but...
Huh? Why was this so shocking to me? Wasn't it okay to question it all? Supremacy determined only in battle. Sounds good in theory, doesn't it? Platonic ideal of the world's best warrior. But of course, reality was disappointing. It was an endless cycle of massacres, chances for the strong to bully the weak. That was the world I lived to see. The last of my kind. I was pretty cute back then, too. The Venator took me in since our stronghold closely bordered theirs. They erased me as one of their own. That's where I met my bro. Big bro always looked out for others, but he had his hands full with me since I had no other relatives. A certain incident happened around that time. At first, I thought to myself, oh man, another boring massacre.
Boring massacre. Like, wow, Dromi's got some fucking issues.
I didn't give it much thought, but then I witnessed a true calamity. That's right, it was my bro Ignis who lost control and awakened his Vinar instinct. The Minotaurs and even his firewolf kin, all of them, were devoured in a matter of minutes. Yeah, it's so clear to me even now. Such overwhelming power. He hunted his prey, chopped him up, and swallowed him all in one gulp. He was soaked in blood, ascending to his throne as the greatest beast to ever live. It was a monumental step for beast kind. What beast could live to see more glorious days so long as any of us could live? The sight mesmerized me so that I totally forgot how bad my head was hurt. The spectacle of such doom was enough to entertain me for hours. Boy, I was lucky. My bro returned to normal and passed out right after, sparing me from being eaten. So nobody ever got to find out exactly what happened on that fateful day. I covered up all the traces. Once things settled down, I started to research what kind of ancestral traits my big bro had. He's like 10. And I found a shrine once maintained by the Tigress people. Proof of Vinar's existence was chronicled. I put the pieces together, realizing that my bro wasn't just a Venator, but also had the traits which set him apart from his kin. But I had to remember, my bro Ignis was nothing compared to Vinar. Beasts nowadays were just mean bullies whose predatory instincts were dull from the lack of a real challenge. That's why... The Doom? I want to meet Vinar. That beast is the only one worthy of standing atop Bestia's summit as the world's best warrior. I want to see the strongest beast in history devour his competition without fear, without mercy. In order to fulfill my dream, I carried out my plan in secret. One day, I talked myself through the plan. Whoops. But the plucky Cordodo overheard me, swimming quietly around the shrine. You killed Cordodo's family?
I mean, I figured it wasn't actually Ignis when I threw that out there, because I'm like, Cordodo wouldn't trust him, but that explains why Cordodo doesn't trust you. Or, he heard your plan. But this is... Well, the weird thing is... This is long before... When you saw what happened, this was when Ignis was a child. Like, you were kids, younger. So... Oh, so was that Cordodo? In the first part when we were swimming under and I see something, that was Cordodo? What? He totally had logical thought, like a normal human being was like, I was swimming around and I heard them saying Vinar, and it was really freaky and weird, so I had to go back home. Like, I guess that's how they threw the fuck off. It was actually Cordodo that I was like, there's no way it's Cordodo, because, like, it's too much logical thought processing, and Cordodo doesn't even know how to speak. He was like, I assumed it was Ignis, but it wasn't. Wow. Okay. Shit. That is the wildest fucking turn, but anyway. That it just actually was, I mean, the thought was there. Is it Cordodo? But it couldn't be, no. Too much logical thought. Nope, I guess it was. But like, Cordodo was there and saw this, but this is when they were little. That almost doesn't kind of pan out to me, because the timeline wouldn't have fit right. So Cordodo was just teeny tiny, or maybe all of the little seals, or whatever the hell he's called. What's this time called? Anyway, maybe they're all really small. I just figured he was a baby, but maybe they're all tiny, squishy, soft little things. So that must just be the normal size of them. I mean, that would actually make more sense because... And they have, like, super long lifespans. But, like, because otherwise, well, Cordodo's like a baby, and then his family, and then they're all huge, like, giant, and then he's gonna get... No, okay, so if he's the average size, and he's an grown-up... Okay. Alright, never mind. It's just... I was just thinking of Cordodo being a baby and being small. I'm like, what? He's gonna be small for... I guess he's just small forever. Anyway. Never mind. I thought it through. I talked it through. Neither Mikado nor myself could do anything but sit, dumbfounded at what he just said. It was, in other words, idolatry, much like a child admiring a blown-up version of a television character. Although his obsession was no doubt childish, Hiromi connived his deadly plan with no hesitation, all to resurrect Vinar. He seemed to convince himself that being devoured was worth it all in the end. His devotion, as esoteric and trivial it all seemed to me, left a deep impression. In short, I had one thing left to say. You're insane. Mikado flashed a brief smile, perhaps echoing my sentiment for my eyes only.
That's crazy. How could you resist opening up to my precious coup? What? Why in the world would I be interested in your doll? Oh, but man, that's someone I could say I envy. Aren't angels, like, invincible or whatever? What would happen if my bro were to eat one? Wish I could have seen for myself. Oh, don't tell me. Do you think wings would sprout out of his back?
Dromy loved to laugh at his own jokes. He cackled so hard I thought he snapped. But all of a sudden he dropped the act.
Even so, because that damn girl got in the way, I couldn't see how things went down in the end. Seriously? That woman and Enchante are such a nuisance. Ever since my bro became a regular over there, he took a break from fighting. Well, I guess she has some use. She gave him a taste of her arm. Maybe the end justified the means.
I realized I could no longer keep quiet. Ignis looked after you ever since you were a snot-nosed orphan.
And the lady was nothing but kind to you, you foul beast, inviting you as her very own guest at Enchante.
Now then,
who the hell do you think you are?
I really actually, sometimes we should save certain places just so we can come back because I want to hear Junichi Suabe scream this on him. I just want to fucking hear it because it's going to be sexy as shit. First of all, the man could read my grocery list and I'd still be like, well, lettuce has never sounded sexier. Him and Daisuke Ono could literally read my grocery list. There's quite a few voice actors that could read my fucking grocery list and I'd be like, say broccoli again. But yeah, he definitely makes vegetables sexy is all I'm saying. You know, because reading my grocery list. But seriously, him screaming at this would be like, ah! Anyway,
my brows furrowed, one step away from...
But we're gonna read the question and answer things at the end. But anyway.
I mean, sure, I got a lot of respect for my bro. I admire him a bunch, especially as the future Vanar. But that woman and even myself are just fodder to my bro. Prey waiting to be eaten. Nothing more, nothing less.
He was deranged, completely oblivious to what he was saying or what any of it meant.
Wait, assistant! Where are you going?
I have determined that any further interrogation of this clown would be useless. I request to leave at once.
Request? But you're already halfway through the door!
Well, I can't say I blame him. I'm not sure how much more of this drivel I can stand to hear. In all truth, I hadn't been tasked with interrogating the little rat. I would have let him rot inside that cell. Had I not been tasked, I would have let him. Okay. I gather that Dromy shared my disinterest with how interrogations were going.
Ah, how nice. Just between you and me, being cooped up in this room for so long is starting to make me cuckoo. So I think it's time I took my leave.
What? The entirety of GPM's headquarters shook in a manner not unlike an earthquake.
What?
The tumultuous sensation rocked the petite Mikado, who fell over. I felt my phone vibrate in my pocket as panic began to set in. I looked at the caller ID, letting out a sigh as I recognized my subordinate. The timing of the call coinciding with the bizarre quake intensified my worry. I immediately picked up the call.
This is Rindo. What happened?
Chief, this is bad! Underground! There's a wormhole underground connecting right to Bestia! There's too many of them! Ah!
I pulled the phone from my ear as my agent cried out in agony, but I had heard more than enough. Then, a cold sweat drips down my brow and I hear a bell ring in my head. I realize the gravity of our situation.
Mikado, we need to get out right!
2 minutes ago. By the time I tossed my smartphone in my pocket to lead Mikado out, I saw a pack of Minotaurs charging through the entrance, standing shoulder to shoulder.
Minotaurs? Where did they come from?
Gah! Put Mikado behind me, acting as a shield as I pointed my weapon at the angry bulls. A door swung behind them. It didn't take me long to realize it was...
Humans are so stupid.
Dromy, freed from his bindings, stood behind the Minotaurs, grinning maniacally.
Man, you're dense. You should have closed down the wormhole as soon as you realized I was the mastermind.
I mean, he's not wrong.
I mean, didn't you expect something like this to happen? Although your stupidity worked out in my favor, guess I should thank you for being the worst captor in history.
As he taunted us, I noticed Dromy was holding a phone. Don't tell me. I went to check my pocket only to find... The phone which I thought was safe in my pocket only moments ago was in his hand. When did you...
Huh? Don't tell me you're shocked.
Jeez,
You underestimate me too much.
I see. He's gonna text me.
Looks like Ignis's self-proclaimed little brother has come to pay Enchante a proper visit.
I have to admit that I'm impressed. We reached the gate to Enchante without noticing him at all.
When it comes to ducking and running, no one's better. Guy's a prodigy. Shoot, even I forget now and then.
How could I let him slip from notice? Dromi was a marvel, capable of tricking humans and non-humans without batting an eyelash. The perfect con man. But I knew there was only one reason Dromi would steal my phone. Only one. You don't want me calling Enchante, do you, you punk?
He's like, you do realize that there are other phones.
I barked out madly from across the room, and the ground shook as the Minotaurs began their menacing approach.
Okie dokie. Try not to get trampled by my furry friends, okay? Yes, for me. In order to resurrect Vinar for good, I gotta fetch him the Last Supper.
Damn it! Wait, Dromi! But it was a cry to the void, and Dromi answered with a dismissive wave. Without breaking his aloof stride, he left the room.
So the bad ending is going to be Dromi kidnaps us and Ignis kills us. And the good ending will be Dromi captures us and Ignis is like, fuck you, I'm not going to kill her, I love her.
Aww.
I'm just guessing. I don't know if we're going to get the ending in this. Like, and then we're going to have 2 super short parts, because, like, I don't know. I sat on the edge of my bed. To distract myself, I stared at my phone. I had been spending all of my time in my room, hoping to regain my strength and to let this gaping wound heal. Ill, however, remained unchanged, continuing to sleep in the room over. Nor had I heard from Rindo about how the interrogations with Dromi had progressed. What am I even doing here? Everyone was fighting tooth and nail, doing whatever they could for the sake of Ignis and for all of us. Yet I chose to stay inside my room, wallowing in self-pity to no end. But each time I urged myself to stand on my own 2 feet, multiple times I should add, it all ended the same. No matter what I tried, the memory of the incident came flooding in, and fear paralyzed me from head to toe. But still, I can't stand to call Ignis a calamity, or a monster, nor can I handle the thought of life without him around. I refused to. That much I knew for sure, but my options in this room were limited. I was sure that Ignis and I were ever to meet again. If Ignis and I were to ever meet again, I would be afraid. If he knew the truth, it would hurt him more than anything up to this point. I want to see him. I want to, but I'm scared. What should I do? Ignis. Pew! I uttered my plea, and Kororo responded with a heart-rending cry. The small creature crawled into my lap. His eyes were puffy from tears. Aww! Just sadder than anything! Cutie! Ignis! Ignis! Together! Together! Kororo, you gotta stop saying words, because I can't do it. Like, Kororo had seemed to indicate some kind of dissatisfaction on account of the distance between Ignis and myself in this moment. Even I... A huge tremor interrupted my thought. I rushed over to a window, pulling back the curtain to see a large crowd gathered. What? With Kororo in my arms, I hurried downstairs to see things from the ground floor. Once more, I ran over to a shop window, hoping for a clearer view of the outside. Right outside of Enchante, through the door and around the winding road, a crowd of minotaurs leading various other beasts rioted on the motorway. It was pandemonium as humans and non-humans alike tried to flee from the frightful scene. What's this? What's going on here? It wasn't the Minotaurs themselves storming through the town as they pleased that worried me. Normally I had Ignis here to handle all the beasts for me, and there were never this many. I was rooted to the spot as Miser and Canis, who had been nursing ill back to health, made their way to me to look for themselves. That was them pounding down the fucking stairs, you could hear it. And the timing couldn't be worse. Did another wormhole to Beastia open up somewhere? Miser, maybe we can worry about the specifics later. The stakes have never been higher. We must make haste to rescue any nearby humans from harm. Roger that. Spacey, whatever you do, don't you dare leave Enchante. Okay, well, I mean, I'm technically gonna, because Dromy's gonna kidnap my ass, but... Then, both Miser and Canis rushed outside to navigate the commotion. Uh-oh. Not only are they vast in number, but they seem to have us totally surrounded. Damn! This is a headache. If only I could teleport everyone to an open field in another realm. Blast them all. And don't forget, if we get carried away fighting here, the barrier sealing Ignis will weaken. Steel and magic clash in the distance. Bitter pangs underscored my helplessness. I held onto Kororo, observing from the safety of my shop. Will everyone be okay? At a glance, there seemed to be more minotaurs than I'd ever seen. No matter how much I trusted Ignis in them, I contemplated the thought of casualties. I was saying, what? Q! A shrill scream pulls my eyes to the outside. It hadn't taken me long to spot the source. What's up with them? Standing at the entrance to Enchante, I saw Karia standing with one leg inside the cafe, while to his rear, an enormous minotaur huffed, eyeing him like a tasty morsel. As the minotaur raised his elbow high into the air to swing down upon Karia. Karia, over here! Q! With the small aquatic mammal in my arms, I pried the front door open. I used my free hand to grab Karia's forearm, yanking him into the cafe with all my might. What? Karia came stumbling into Enchante. It might not have been pretty, but we were safe. I immediately pulled on the doorknob to shut the door when... a foot slipped into the gap, obstructing it from closing. The owner of the foot was not, in fact, the Minotaur who had rushed Karia. Hello! Thanks for the warm welcome, Miss Owner. Ugh! Dromy! Ugh! In self-defense, I attempted to shove him out of the door, but he tightly gripped my arm. I ended up relenting, which gave him enough leverage to force himself into the shop. Now then, with all those troublesome regulars gone, I'm safe since we both know they'd wipe the floor with me if they were here. Get away from her! Karia was quick to shout at the sudden intruder, shooting up to his feet. Oh, Karia is pissed. Karia squinted, staring at our intruder as a sharp coldness seeps around us. That's not going to affect Dromy, but icicles stabbing through his chest might. Whoa there! Would you go so far as to skewer Miss Owner and me together? Dromy spun me around, holding me in place before him like a shield, and the ice shattered before it could take shape. You coward! Coward? Oh, come on! Considerate is more like it. After all, I'd consider letting Miss Owner go if it meant fighting you one-on-one. What do you say? I might not be the baddest beast around, but I got more than enough to kick your half-human, half-whatever ass. Dromy showed his teeth, implying that a resistance would put Karia's well-being at risk. Karia, don't do it! But I gotta... I'll be fine. Please don't do anything dangerous. I think we should wait for Miser and Canis to return. Karia pointed his disappointment at the floor, to which Dromy nodded smugly. Yeah, good boy. If you kept whining and crying, I'd have to gut you. However, Dromy kept his hold on me tight, putting me between himself and Karia. Then, just as he had done on the night he infiltrated Enchante, Dromy walked me over to the gate and threw me into Beastia. I hugged Kororo tightly in my arms as we plunged once more into that icy world. Oh, Lord. As soon as we crossed over, my breath became vapor, reduced to an intense chill that nearly choked me. Surprisingly, though... Here you go. I'd hate for you to freeze to death. Dromi, the erratic puppet master, wrapped the blanket around my shoulders. It was enough to stop my shiver, giving me a chance to catch my breath. Why go through any of the trouble? Hadn't he dragged me in the first place hoping I would have freeze to death?
You're an open book, Miss Owner. It's written on your face. Well, don't get it twisted. I'm leaving here to die, that much is still true. After all, nothing beats a fresh catch for dinner, am I right? Or am I right?
Do you mean... I can't be angry, Coral. I'm sorry. That was all of it. Anyway.
Oh dear. Thought I heard something. Looks like Kororo's come to play. That little sack is a pain in my ass. Think you're a guard dog, big guy?
Kororo! Dromi's demented face warped as he lunged to snatch Kororo from my arms. Then he tossed the poor creature to the snowy ground like a rag doll. As I reached my arm out to Kororo...
Ow! There, Miss Owner. Let's leave this nuisance behind. Come along, taking you to the person you've been dying to see.
Dromi dragged me through the plush snow. There was nothing I could do to resist. I winced as the rocky ground scraped my back. Here's the thing, though. Doesn't he know that there's like a... He wouldn't know... Well, no, not doesn't he. He wouldn't know that there's a thing up around Ignis? You know what I mean? So he's gonna go and he's like, how did he know what they did to Ignis? Like, I don't know. To be like, oh, well, I had the Minotaurs come and help me, and then it's like... What? Did you... How did you arrange... I don't know.
Q! Q!
Q-doo? Q? I can't believe we got to be Kororo. Again, this time without the logical thought.
The hunger had become torturous, like my gut was being ripped from my body. How many days had it been? Any concept of time left me. I sat there pathetically, squatting in isolation inside that freezing cave. All I could think about was finding prey, which required me to break the barrier. I clenched my fists tightly enough to draw blood, using pain to hold my focus together. Damn it! How much longer can I stand it in here? I should have told Miser or one of the others to put me out of my misery. I caught myself groaning in resentment. Then I see a faint glimmer of light, meaning there was an opening in the barrier. While stuff like spells and magic weren't really my forte, I recognized Miser's handiwork when I saw it, and that perfectionist wouldn't be caught dead half-ass in one of his spells. One of his projections, like the barrier up there, started to waver. Are you in some kind of trouble, Miser? Something in my gut told me to cast a look up at the ceiling, and sure enough... Hey, bro! Sorry for keeping you waiting! Some wimpy, high-pitched voice echoed down from the opening, making my ears sore. I pointed my fist, hoping he'd take the hint before he pissed me off even more.
You know, if you're gonna go into a rage and kill someone, I'd kill Dromi.
What? You...
Ignis?
It was her. But at the same time, I could barely look her in the eye. But that rat bastard flung her carelessly through the barrier onto the shrine floor.
So, the barrier is... I can fit through the barrier? Or maybe because it's a hole in the ceiling? After hours of trudging through Bestia's snowy fields, not to mention without any breaks, Dromi had shoved me into the cavernous shrine that housed the mural of Vinar. I collected myself, but when I looked up, it was him, but I couldn't make eye contact. The man I cherished most was separated from me, visible only through an opaque barrier. Oh, so the barrier's around him, not the cave. I thought the barrier was around the cave, you know, so he's in the cave, not him.
You...
Ignis? It was him, all right. There was no mistaking his gentle eyes. But nevertheless, his name quivered in my mouth. In the moment, I unwittingly withdrew, giving into my fear of confronting him.
Hey now, where are you going? Are you trying to run away?
Dromy drop-kicked my back with a dull thud, knocking the wind out of me.
Dromy, you bastard! Don't you dare touch her! Yeah, sorry about that. I'm just tenderizing her for you, okay? Surely you'll forgive me for that.
Tenderizing?
That's right. Huh, brother. I bet this lady's the tastiest thing you've ever laid your eyes on, isn't she? Doesn't she look delicious? That day, I remember it clear as ever. The pure joy on your face said it all.
Don't tell me. The reason Dromy dragged me all the way to this ice-cold cave alive. Well, the reason Dromy dragged me all the way to this ice-cold cave alive is...
Which is why I figured I'd make your celebratory feast extra special before you officially become Vinar. Bon appetit, big guy. Imagine getting to savor your favorite meal on the planet before becoming an actual god. Does it get any better? Dromy, you... Oh, wow. You had no idea that I was about to surprise you. You're speechless. It was the least I could do to repay you. Now, take as much time as you need. Savor every little bite. Don't screw with me. You know I won't do it. Are you so sure? You can't help your instincts when there's prey right in front of you. It's a matter of time.
Dromy curled his lips into a menacing grin, unsheathed his claws, and reached over to tear my bandage with his sharp fingertips. The bandage clung to my raw flesh, stinging immensely as he reopened the wound. Drip. That's the worst, like ripping off the... As he ripped the bandage from my arm, droplets of blood dripped onto the ice. Oh no. Ignis rushed to cover his mouth, retreating a few steps back as his instincts kick in. His cry reverberated through the cave. It hadn't taken me long to realize how much agony his hunger had caused him. He swung his arm out, trying to gain even more distance from me. But all he could do inside his tiny prison was pace back and forth. Don't go. I wanted nothing more than say that. However, my arm throbbed as the blood trickled down. As my stomach sank, I stood rooted in place. Huh? My arm stopped hurting. Then, I hear the eerie sound of blood splashing to the ground, and my eyes follow its path. The veins in Ignis were ready to bulge from his skull, but he fought his ancestral cravings. At his feet, a river of blood flowed and thickened into a mixture with dirt and snow. The runoff trickled to the barrier's edge. I gazed in horror at Ignis's bloody claws. Ignis? Was that his blood?
Spacey. Must feed. Must devour. No!
Each time Ignis was tempted by the craving, he tore his own into his own body. His own body became burned and shredded. He was determined not to devour me. His commitment could cost him his life.
I can't. I refuse to give in. All I want is for all of this to...
I could only watch in horror. I cut my hands over my mouth, but I knew there was no running. I dragged my feet toward him, watching as his body began to convulse violently.
Stay back! If you come any closer, I'll kill... No! I'll devour you.
Even in the end, while experiencing an onslaught to his mind, body, and spirit, he looked out for me. Just a bit closer. I walked to where, if the barrier had broken, I knew I would be devoured, but I continued onward, until I reached a threshold I couldn't pass. I'm scared. I'm scared, Ignis. Just look at you. I barely recognize you. It's all because every time I look at you, I'm reminded of the moment you tried to eat me, and my feet stop. You wonder why. I thought that when you love someone, nothing could stop you from being apart. That's what I thought until now. What was stopping me from reaching out my hand? In the end, I had clung to a naive fantasy, whereas my actual circumstances involved the very tangible threat of my gruesome death. But through panted breaths, Ignis responded.
That's how I feel too. Duh! You know better than anyone!
His voice howls in lament, echoing behind me. It's like such a tragic, happy ending, like maybe I'll be able to control it and it'll be fine, but I'm just like worried.
Why did it have to be me? Why do I have to be the one to inherit my ancestral power? Why, to you of all people, why did I have to hurt you? Well, because I'm a monster just like him.
The burden sat heavily on Ignis's shoulders. Like, look, it's like the CGs we get of just him are so tragic. Like, this one is like, oh, and the other one was like, oh, horrifying. Like, poor Ignis.
I don't want to have to live without you. I want to go back to Enchante. I'll eat whatever you set in front of me every day for the rest of my life. You're the strongest person I know. No one else's smile lifts me up like yours does. I can't go another day without it. Is it too much to ask for a simple life together with you?
Ignis.
So cute! So tragic! But I get it. That's impossible. You'll never feel safe around me. We both know it. I'll just devour you. You being here is proof enough of it. Even hearing your voice makes my stomach growl uncontrollably. I think it's too late. Soon I'll look at everyone I meet as nothing more than a meal. Why? Why? Why must I be cursed to suffer the craving of the woman I love?
Most people crave the woman they love, but not in the same way. Tears began to well in my eyes. Despite the grimness of his desperate plea, the sentiment behind it shot through me like an arrow, causing my heart to skip a beat. Me too. My heart belongs to you. I don't want to fear you. Yet, my heart was all over the place. Feelings clashed, conflicted, and formed lines that could and would never intersect.
Okie dokies, mind wrapping up the sob story soon?
Dromi once more kicked me from behind, sucking the wind out of my lungs. He crouched and grabbed me by the scruff of my neck, threatening me coldly.
I'm getting real tired of your chatter, lady. I hate to think what you'd be like as Venar's mate. Not that we'll have to worry about that. He's about to wake Venar already. Oh, how's about we wake Venar already?
That would make more sense. Like, whatever.
You're just so pitiful, even for a human. All you're good for is a last meal.
Before Dromi put his grubby hands on me once again, my vision inexplicably became bright red. Did she just bitch slap him? Dromi had all of a sudden stopped provoking Ignis, so I mustered all my strength to slap him in the face with my open hand. Girl! High five! Across Dromi's face. But then, I remembered. I still had to face Ignis. That terrifying truth hadn't changed. But my concern for Ignis was nearly eclipsed by the anger I aimed at Dromi for trying to make me an offering to Venar. Dromi had lightly put his fingertips to the reddish spot I had slapped, a rare moment of reflection for the impish beast. Of course, as a human, my slap did no significant harm to him, especially not to a beast. But Dromi slowly rose, pursing his lips as he searched for a response.
You! How dare you, you meat scrap!
Dromi knocked me down with a roundhouse kick. Oh, that's gonna break something.
Spacey!
As Ignis gets closer to me, the scent of my blood travels to his nose and his cravings become heightened. His face crunches as he resisted the urge, restraining himself from dominating me. Dromi watched the two of us, wide-eyed and apprehensive.
You don't screw with me! Quit playing! Quit playing around!
The werecat began to stamp his feet in anger as color filled his pale cheeks.
Vinar, why you gotta hesitate? If you devour her, then you'll become unstoppable. Can't you see? What? We have the same dream. Both of us want to change the world. Let's rid it of all the evils and murderers, don't you agree?
Ignis, fighting to keep his sanity, listened to Dromi proclaim a last-ditch monologue.
You went off the Dromi voice. He's making me tired. Hurts my throat.
You idiot. You must be sleeping if you think our dreams are anything alike. Vinar is nothing more than a ravenous murderer. Don't get us confused. No, you're totally wrong. Vinar is... You're... totally different from any other beast. You don't just slaughter the weak for sport.
Dromi continued on indignantly.
You only kill to satisfy your hunger. You kill to survive. That's not evil. It's just your nature. You honor the dead by absorbing their flesh and blood into yourself. Then they live with you forever.
All the more reason not to eat Dromi, I'm just saying.
You might spill blood, but you make it a worthy sacrifice. It's totally different.
It was clear how misguided Dromi had been. It was tragic.
I'll say it over and over. Vinar will enlighten us and show us the true path which all beasts should follow.
Oh my god, he's like one of those crazy people who he's like a flat earther. Fucking Scientologist, wow.
Once Vinar devours all the beasts and destroys all the endless fight for supremacy, all of you will see.
No, everyone will be dead, you dumb fuck.
Believe me, I've seen brutality. I've seen people killed for nothing. I had to sit and watch while my friends and family were all taken from me. That's why others might regard you as nothing more than a heretic of doom. To me, Vinar is salvation.
I suppose, from a certain point of view, his wasn't all that different from Ignis's, but it could never come to be. It was too bitter.
Dromi, you're... insane? Cruel? Cowardly? Yeah, fine. I know that better than anyone else. Still? You may think I'm in denial, but I'll spill as much blood as needed to awaken the calamity.
Dromi had surrendered his fate, avenging his fallen loved ones by taking the whole world with him. Ever since that day, Dromi had nothing, but even now he looked uncertain to fulfill his purpose. Despite his best efforts, he was once more at the mercy of uncontrollable circumstances.
There is no way we're getting the ending in this part, so we're gonna have 2 super short parts.
And it'll be 10 minutes or something ridiculous, and then it's we can't do the bad ending too, we'll only get one. I can only imagine how tragic it was. How much pain he endured. But it's really funny because honestly, just starting Canis's route till the end is so much shorter than Ignis's route. It's so weird. But I remain steadfast. You're wrong. While you and Ignis both pledged to change the world, your methods are different.
What?
For Ignis, the inherent value and beauty in the world around us isn't up for debate. He's the same as he's always been. He's the sworn protector of the weak, someone who'd give his life for others. That's why he fights. I continued. That's what sets you two apart. He wants to save the world, and you're condemning it. My words fell on Dromi's deaf ears. Without a word, he kicked my head again. Well, and now we're going to be knocked out. I was blinded by pain, but couldn't pass out. It wasn't just my head. My back, arms, just about every part of my body throbbed. I'm pretty sure he's kicking us hard enough to actually break bones.
Shut up! You blabber on like you have any idea what you're talking about? You live to spoil life. Humans don't worry about anything. Pull that silver spoon out of your mouth and shove it.
Hey, humans worry about a lot of things, bitch.
I'm the one who truly understands.
Oh, I'm the only one who truly understands.
Why we need his power? Vinar? I'm the one who understands. Stop, Dromi!
I coughed up blood each time Dromi kicked into me, which enraged Ignis even more. But it was futile, as his cries of anguish only poured gasoline onto raging fire that was Dromi's thirst for vengeance. Kororo stabs him in the ankle.
Why don't you stop me yourself? Why won't Vinar come out already? How are you still conscious?
There's 3 random thoughts. I love it.
Why? You're nothing more than an insect from the weakest realm of them all. So why are you such a pain?
That's... Can't you see? This isn't what Ignis wants.
You... Damn you, woman!
Dromi pulled his leg back, gathering enough force to shatter my ribcage. I braced for the impact of his kick, shutting my eyes in fear, but... A moment passed, and I looked up fearfully to see Dromi halted in place. His expression began to soften.
I've had enough.
But at first glance, it wasn't as simple as a change of heart, or even a surrender.
I get it now. I hope that bringing you here would be the finishing touch, but it backfired on me. Because of you, Ignis might not want to associate with Vinar at all.
Dromi turned his neck to glance at Ignis, who watched him from inside the barrier.
So if you won't eat her, maybe I will.
He broke into a cruel, bitter laugh. Well, this is more traumatic, because you thought Ignis would be able to control himself, and Dromi is not gonna not eat me. Great.
What? To be honest with you, I've been watching you, just in case maybe I had to do some eating of my own. Well, here goes. If all I need are my fangs to rip her apart before I swallow, shouldn't be hard.
I hope you choke on it.
But it's still got no stomach, so don't be surprised if I puke her up afterwards. What?
Dromi capitalized on Ignis's shock, and the firewolf stood helpless as his old friend shoves me to the ground.
Let go of me! Now I wonder how you taste.
He stretched his lips into a deranged smile. His fangs were pointed and gleaming, and we've been beaten so much it's gonna be so hard to fight him off, you know what I mean?
Stop! I said stop! Dromi!
Ignis strained his throat, screaming, but Dromi reacted with a smile as I squirmed beneath him. This is creepy.
Bye-bye. Any last words, Miss Owner?
I have a lot. Can I formulate them for a minute? Okay, hold on.
I'll be sure to give Vinar my full report on how you taste, don't worry. Okay, time to dig in.
His sharp fangs pressed into my neck. The tips of his canines punctured holes. This was it. I was about to be eaten. As I nearly succumbed to my daze.
Oh.
The sound of flames igniting startled me. No, Ignis! I couldn't have guessed what exactly happened, but as I cried out to him, I could have guessed what exactly had happened, but as I cried out to him, it was too late. Whatever senses he could bundle together were cast aside, ironically, to save me. A crimson storm shattered the barrier. Then, Miser's like, he shattered the barrier. That hurt my pinky. Oh my god, he is literally a fire wolf. Oh my god, that's amazing. Is that like actually a CG, or is it just like a sprite in the background? Because it's shaking at me anyway. Okay, anyway. The flaming wolf of calamity let out a guttural, primordial roar of awakening. That is so neat. He's always terrifying, though. The end. I'm just going to be honest. I don't know if we're going to be able to, I don't know. We'll see. All right, anyway. Bestia, land of the beasts. Its inhabitants follow a strict code of law. The strong dominate the weak, or thin them from the herd. Tonight, once more, beneath moonlight, somewhere in this vast, desolate place, someone is killing, dying, fleeing, or fighting. This order has been upheld for eternity. Its rules have been paid for and signed by the blood of all beasts. A crimson, fiery tower rises into the night sky. Any beast whose eye catches the red flare blast upwards stops in their tracks and stares. Wow, okay. Anyone who sees it stops and stares, basically. It was strange. A bitter, intense frost covered the terrain, so thick not even sunlight could penetrate it. In the dark of this night, one could hardly see the moon. So, what was that? The answer puzzled all but a chosen few. We actually had a howl! A mighty howl blazed the surrounding area. A beast feared by all in antiquity. The beast that time forgot. The heretic of doom.
the world devourer, Vanar. Awakened after millenniums in hibernation, thanks to the latent power dwelling in a young fighter, the flaming wolf is reborn. Led by the call of hunger in its stomach to satisfy the craving swelling within, the unforgiving winds, the blizzards, the ice, melt at any distance near the flaming wolf. Observers from far away cannot make out the source of this mysterious pillar, but its light is nevertheless ominous. Upon seeing the flaming pillar, all beasts abandoned their skirmishes, struck by fear. It was certain death. This instinct came universally to all beasts. All, except for one. Dromi.
Whoa, that's it! This is the real Vanar.
At the feet of the snarling wolf who sniffed for prey, rejoiced the calamitous fanatic.
Dromi, 3. A fanatic of calamity. His attachment is rooted in a sad, yet very serious wish to win against the rules of the world of Bestia that is filled with malice and slaughter.
That's right, Vanar. Devour everything. It's all yours. You're the strongest. Your time as the great equalizer has come. My hopes, my dreams, my dying wish.
I'm pretty sure he's going to devour you.
Consume the strong and the meek alike. Spare no one from your just wrath.
Spare no one from your just wrath. There you go. There's no way we're finishing this part. I'm just gonna, because we still have one more fucking choice in this chapter. Candace's went by so fast. We got like 7 parts for his chapter. Like for his thing, right? So like, and then like, Ignis's is like, what are we, 30 parts? Like this is literally, I think, so far, at least an extra part than I thought. We've got one more, it's gonna be 3 parts longer than I, like, estimated. So like, wow. I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to stop here just because there's no way we're going to finish this in this part. And unless for some reason it's magically one that, but again, we still have a choice left. We got a choice and then we have an after story. It's going to take at least another like 15 to 20 minutes minimum. So I'm just going to stop it here. We'll cut it a little bit short instead of going a little bit long, just so we get more in the next part. And it's not, again, like a 15-minute part. Hopefully it's closer to 30, but we'll see. I don't know. At this rate, we might not finish for like 4 more hours. But I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.